friends, good morning. It is Wednesday morning before market is opening here in we gotta talk here. I love SoFi, I love Palantir. I think these are going to be stocks that I will probably hold the rest of my life. Portions of them. I've accumulated these stocks over the years at different price points, and I'm so I don't know. This sounds weird, but I'm so honored that I hold them. That sounds so weird. I know that, but I think these stocks are just going to be, these are going to be monumental pillars of the future of technology with banking and software. And I just want to talk about what's going on here. So obviously, SoFi here reported earnings, and it was a mama jama big one. It was $950 million. It was a little more than that, but break it down here with little payment things here. 950 out of the gate here. So we're but $50 million short of $1 billion. And by Q4, more than likely, at the rate they're going here, doing 100 over and the last few quarterlies at this point in revenue on top of each one of the last quarterlies, we're definitely going to be well over $1 billion if they continue into this this road that they're in right now. So SoFi, wow, what a situation. I want to talk about Palantir, and there's one thing that I do want to say about Palantir right now, and just to go right into that, if Microsoft and Meta could have a baby, it would definitely probably be the partnership that has been announced today. So Palantir and NVIDIA are now partnering together, working together, and this is huge. It's literally Iron Man and Thor, just in a love connection, right now. I am so obsessed and gossiping about this like a little fangirl. This is amazing. And if you don't know, NVIDIA, one reason why there's going to be a lot of news probably busting out this week, because NVIDIA is stationed right now in DC, and they're giving this long week of conference where they're talking about their software, what they're doing, chips, software, who they're working with, partnerships, blah, 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 blah. And they're just announcing things every day. So, Jensen's there, he's talking, all this kind of stuff. And this is one of the things that just got released. So, let's dig into SoFi first. I'll get back to Palantir. Obviously, I'm a fanboy on both of them. I can't help it. If you're looking for a bearish conversation on either of these stocks, I apologize. I'm not the person for you. You can go ahead and turn the video off, because I'm not gonna talk bad about them. I love them. I love them too much, and I think they're super. I think they're super guys. Okay, let's talk about them. So, as I said, SoFi came out with a banging quarterly here, and we had both elements do very well here. We had, obviously, revenue is great. I'm not going to read everything here, but you can obviously break this down and, kind of decipher this. What's going on here? Try to put this up here, make it easy peasy as possible. But two, one thing that's really encouraging, not only with revenue being so good here and increasing at such a high rate right now, is that the customer basis is growing aggressively too. If you look at customer basis, this thing is rising like crazy. So SoFi is just firing on all cylinders plus here. And it's a real situation of we're watching the very youthful growing stage of a company right now. It's a very interesting place to be, where people could potentially look back on this like a handful of years from now and go like, man, that was the moment where I was so glad I dug into that position before, after, those quarterlies, because it was such a monumental, place for me in my, my portfolio, my life, where whatever it is at this moment here for you in the future. It's a great place right now for SoFi long-term investors, new investors, people that are just maybe swinging in and out of this and allocating money here, there. But, this is great. This was a great day for SoFi. This proved everything I've been barking up a tree about, And it's not just me, the writing is on the wall right now with SoFi. You don't have to be a mathematician or, graduate from Harvard. I've got a GED, for God's sakes. I love the stock market, and I've done very well in the stock market because I love and I'm obsessed with it. So right now, looking at SoFi, it's doing all the right stuff you want a stock to do, you want a company to do. It's doing all the right things. It's almost a little too easy. That's the thing, and that's why when I see people go against the grain with SoFi right now, I go like, why are you choosing? Why are you choosing to be you right now? Why are you going against this? It's a little too easy. It's pretty obvious that this is going to continue. I think you're watching obviously a beautiful situation of an investment unfold here, but you're also watching the new structure of a household banking system be built right before you. No doubt about it. It's kind of like, I remember even when I was like a kid back in 2000, 13, 08, something like that, when you would hear about this thing, PayPal, and, PayPal was obviously something that was just very much used with eBay, and they weren't really this separate thing. They were just this one thing, which brings me to my next slide here. So, PayPal back in the day wasn't its own entity. It just wasn't. And now it very much is. But this is kind of my next argument right now. So you have PayPal, who on a given at this point, the last handful of years, and right now, even yesterday, released quarterlies, and their quarterlies are in this range of, high 7, really $8 to $9 billion. Okay, great, fantastic. You have Robinhood, who's just now getting into this $1 billion quarterly range this year, kind of, a little bit back and forth tracking here, but still very much in this. It's moving along here. It's doing great and really pushing into the banking sector. That's kind of where they're going, and they've been going. But and then you have SoFi, who has just been putting out these killer quarterlies for the last handful of years here, and who has started essentially off as a loan program for students, and now has really transformed into this monstrosity banking system. Kind of like what we saw PayPal, a decade ago, really more than a decade ago. Yeah, I think we're right there where it was. But now SoFi is really, it's growing at a very fast rate here. This is getting it's a very aggressive. But all three of these stocks, these companies, they have never had a stock split. Now that's very interesting. Now, the thing with all three of these is that you look at PayPal, around $80 a share. Okay. Some may say undervalued, some may say right. Okay. PayPal, though, and I'm not throwing, as the kids say here, I'm not throwing shade at PayPal. So if you're like a PayPal holder, I think PayPal's great. PayPal's not going anywhere. PayPal's doing the right stuff, and they have built and chiseled a road out of strong mortar here for years to come. No doubt about it. They have found their place where they need to be, and they've soaked up that that space right now. But you look at SoFi and you look at Robinhood, top competitors right now, 100%. As much as they are foe, they are working together in this weird sense of where they're going after the older banking situations. Things like as your Wells Fargo's, your Visa, your American Express. I mean, all Bank of America, all Citi, all those big banks, all those ones that have been here, they're fat, dividends, all the, just those ones. I mean, just like, what I'm talking about. So you have those ones who are coming out with insane quarterlies on a monthly basis, and that's what's expected. The world turns and they keep releasing great quarterlies, and we think nothing of it. Well, now we have these two new banking systems that have entered the world with this new generation of investors, this new generation of the younger generation right now, who, guess what? They want houses, they want cars, they want loans, they want credit cards, they want personal loans, business loans, whatever kind of loan they can get. They want to buy crypto, they want to buy stocks. Well, you have Robinhood and you have SoFi who are giving that to the younger generation, but both these companies are really pushing into technology, 100%. They're not worrying about brick and mortar stores. They're not worrying about how many McDonald's they can build on a 2-mile basis street. They're not doing that. They're allocating and putting all their money into their company, their apps, putting their face out there, okay? Commercials, all that kind of stuff. I'm not sitting here trying to talk about PayPal or Robinhood, but I think these are three main pillars of different kind of banking right now that we need to look at. PayPal, like I said, I'm not throwing shade at it, but PayPal is definitely in this corner of the world where it just works. It just works, and people use it to trade money here or there. But it's definitely not still, I don't believe, because I don't see it in day-to-day life. It's not looked at as a bank system. Does that make sense? It obviously is. That's the general basis of what it is, but it's not looked at as that. It's used for trading money, doing all this kind of stuff. But most people, if they saw PayPal, and it may just be a generational thing. I don't know. People go, yeah, PayPal, I use that to trade money back and forth between, accounts here and there. And they do well with it. They do very well. They're good at it. But then you look at SoFi, and Robinhood's great. I don't want to talk more about Robinhood because I'm not talking about Robinhood right now, but Robinhood's great. I have nothing bad to say about Robinhood. I'll say this, and because I know someone's going to say this in the comments. You're having to pay almost $150 per share for Robinhood, okay? Now, there's a lot of fat wrapped up in that conversation. There's a lot of FOMO. There's a lot of what if. There's a lot of, I want to be a part of the club with Robinhood. It's cool. It's sexy. It's unique. It's Robinhood. Okay, fantastic. Well, then we go right over here to SoFi, and SoFi, who's finally starting to get recognition, finally starting to get attention. Thank God above in 2025. This company, this stock here, who has been killing it with quarterlies, doing all the right things, building the right infrastructure inside the company to now people are going, now this has been the most positive year article news-wise with investors with SoFi. I know that because I've been here. I was here during the COVID years. I was here when this thing came to market and got ripped apart by the world shutting down. I was here. And now you saw SoFi survive that, completely restructure and rebuild their brand, their company, everything with an awesome CEO. And now we are seeing this beautiful genesis stage of SoFi being built into this mammoth company right now. So when people go like, did I miss the boat? Is $30? That's a little much. Why? I don't know about that. 2026 could be something very unique and special for investors right now, and they may not see it. I think the writing may be on the wall, and people may not be seeing this. What we saw from Robinhood this year, we may see SoFi walk into in 2026, where leapfrogging may start into numbers, where we go, oh my God. SoFi has been so underlooked this year. It is shameful how underlooked the stock has been this year. I don't get it. It's just this year. I've been talking about SoFi, and I know this because I've been talking about SoFi. I've been running my mouth about SoFi for years now. No one's cared. And I say that like not blaming people, but I say that like the videos don't get a lot of attention. And I've seen other people start to talk about SoFi this year, and the videos are blowing up. It's just this year where SoFi is getting the recognition it deserves. And still there's so much that the pieces aren't all there for what's coming here. It's a very interesting situation that's unfolding in front of the stock market and investors right now. SoFi, undoubtedly by Q4 here, is going to be in this $1 billion quarterly range, okay? So the road to 135, the road to $35, $40, that's but just a taste away right now, okay? What I'm looking at for 2026 are, big digit numbers here. I'm looking, I'm looking for digit numbers that are starting with, a 6 in front of them, a 7, 8, 0, 90. I think those are very attainable numbers right now, big digit numbers, where we're going to be looking at 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, $100, much like what we've seen with Robinhood. I do believe that SoFi is becoming a very sexy, unique, fabulous, look at me stock. It really is. It's getting the attention. I've seen this time and time again in the stock market, and there's going to be a lot of you that agree with this if you've been through seasons in the market and watched this. When a company finally hits into the $1 billion range, it's like it's like a stock enters into this, ooh, you're welcome to the club. I've seen this time and time again where once a company hits and it fights for it and it gets there, when it hits this $1 billion quarterly range, okay, now Wall Street's looking at it harder. Now it's a conversation of, okay, things are really different here with this situation. Okay, so friends, I say all this to say congratulations. I say also to say, I say congratulations now, and I'm saying congratulations for what is coming down the pipeline here with more to come. We've still got another quarterly to finish off this year here with SoFi Q4, and undoubtedly, I think a lot of us, it's pretty safe to say we're going to see another phenomenal quarterly with SoFi. More than likely, that's what's going to happen here. I don't have a problem with, Palantir. I don't have a problem with Robinhood or SoFi. I think they're phenomenal companies. But when I look at all three of these companies and I go, what company in the future stands to have the most meat on the bone at this point, potential stock split, entering maybe the S&P 500, really being a part of a lot of ETFs, things like this, and being the more aggressive company, it's SoFi 100%. SoFi is dominant, pushing into this banking system where not only do I think they're going to be a problem for Robinhood, I think Robinhood and SoFi are always going to be a problem for each other. They're always going to be dominant predators out there in the wild against each other. But I think them both splitting off into the Sierra here, they are the dominant predators that are coming for the older predators. Okay, if that makes sense here. I'm trying to say this as well as I can. That's like flashing in my mind right now, but that's really what I look at, because both these companies are focusing 100% into technology. And not to say the other banks are, they are, but trust me, I've used the other banks. I've used their technology. I've seen them. Robinhood and SoFi are far more advanced when it comes to banking right out of your pocket. Pocket, phone, boom. Oh, you need a loan? Oh, you need a credit card? Oh, you don't have to call someone? Boom, right there. They have AI attached to their things. It's crazy. And they're both doing something unique too. They're pushing into crypto. And other banks are doing this, obviously, but SoFi and Robinhood have been here. They've been doing this. And you can buy stocks with both of these companies. Obviously, it's not a secret that Robinhood is far more advanced, I would say, in this realm, because this is how Robinhood started, as a trading app. And they still are. That is their bread and butter. But SoFi has pushed into the banking sector. So that's why when I look at SoFi compared to Palantir, compared to Robinhood, SoFi is already more advanced in the sense of it can get there faster. We've seen things like this happen in the past, where companies that have come up out of the depths, these dark horses, and they have just taken what looked like was going to be taken by another company that was much bigger, wealthier. Something like PayPal. I think PayPal is going to continue to do great. PayPal's not going anywhere. But SoFi has got the attention of bank. When people look at SoFi, they go bank. They go loans, credit cards. I can buy stocks with them. When people look at PayPal, they go, oh, I need PayPal so I can switch money over here to there. And sadly, as much as I love PayPal, I go, it's in a corner. It's in a corner over there. And I don't like that. Yeah, they're making a ton of money. Are they going to make more? I'm not satisfied with $8 billion. Are they going to get to 12 billion, 15 billion in the next few years? What if by next year, this time next year, what if SoFi's into 2-point-some billion dollar quarterlies? It sounds crazy. At the beginning of the year when I said SoFi was going to be in $1 billion range by this time, people said that was crazy. They said a lot of us were crazy. We've got to look at breadcrumbs. Listen, I'm not saying this to like blow smoke up people's rear ends here. I'm saying this because I want to see everyone do well. I really do. I think it's such an amazing thing when people do well in the market. There's things that don't have to make sense in the market. Look at Robinhood, for God's sakes. They're just making a measly $1 billion quarterly. And then you've got PayPal over here, $150 stock, $80 stock, The $80 stock is making almost $9 billion quarterly. The $150 stock is trying to get back to $1 billion quarterly. And then you got SoFi over here, who has a history of great quarterlies, projections into crazy numbers. It's a $31 stock. What do you want me to say here? Fugazi. You know, it's like, what are we doing? Okay, so that's obviously I'm gonna keep talking about SoFi. And I hope everyone heard what I had to say in there. I think all those are great companies. If you invest in any of those companies, and you probably should, they're gonna do well for you. All three of those companies are great, no doubt about it. But to wrap up the argument with it is that I think SoFi, from what we can tell, what breadcrumbs we are picking up, the pieces of the puzzle here that we're slowly putting together quarterly by quarterly, year by year, is that SoFi is becoming the much more legitimate, bigger company in the future from what we can tell right now. This is becoming a very significant banking system. If they continue on this projection, this is going to be a very wild investment for people. It's a very unique situation because, you know, it's right there in front of people at a very affordable price right now. That's what's very interesting. So to get back to Palantir, obviously Palantir and NVIDIA, the love childs have, you know, I mean, this is great. I mean, this is great. If you think I was smiling big for SoFi, I'm smiling even bigger here for Palantir. I am a true believer, and I am that person on the street saying you need to buy Palantir. It is going to, you know, listen, I don't care what you do, but what I'm telling you is, I am that person saying that Palantir is well going to crazy, stupid, unbelievable, the bears hate it, ridiculous numbers. I really do believe that, because I say that because you're buying hype, you're buying FOMO, you're buying what if, you're buying a company with a big mouth CEO, gotta love him, and then you're buying very unique software that's advancing every time we hear about it, and you're buying into a company where other big companies are working with that company. Palantir keeps getting deals on top of deals. Every time there's a quarterly, there's a bundle of new deals. Then quarterly comes out, and then there's a bundle of new deals. So you just have this this compounding, this rolling motion of just deals wrapped in deals and partnerships. And then when these quarterlies come out, people just go, oh my God. So Palantir here is about to release quarterlies again, okay? And undoubtedly, I don't think anyone is looking at Palantir right now and going like, well, they're obviously not going to make these. I mean, you know, the wells run dry. I don't know if you've been paying attention here, but I have been yapping my mouth about it as much as I can here. But I will tell you, someone who's been here watching and obsessed with Palantir, this quarterly will definitely be well worth the wait. Because, like I said, when Q2 came out, there were a handful of deals they got weeks leading up to that. Then after that, and then we had a little bit of a quiet season, and then the last few weeks here, month and a half, we've been seeing the Boeing deal, the new one they just got, the Lumen deal, Lumen, how you say that word? Lumen they just got, and that one was it was rumored to be over $200 million. Not a lot for them, but still, I mean, there's companies that we would dream of getting a $200 million contract. I mean, Big Bear, my God, imagine if Big Bear got a $200 million contract. Holy freaking smokes. So things like that are just what is common in Palantir world at this point. I look at SoFi and I look at Palantir and I go, I think these are like, how else do I say it? I think they're just kind of like the NVIDIA / you know, just the metas of the future. You know, I remember 10 years ago, you know, when people talked about Facebook, you know, Meta on the stock market, no one could have ever dreamed of what that company would turn into. Even NVIDIA, I say this a lot, but, you know, NVIDIA is not a new company. It's been around since the early 90s. And even 5, 6, 7 years ago, NVIDIA was a hot stock then. It was making around $2, $3, $4, $5 billion a quarterly. But even at that stage, people thought, well, obviously, this company making chips, you know, they're never going to succeed, you know, go past what they're doing now. In two, I'll say this: NVIDIA, like, it's not just the last year that they had that split. They've had splits for a while. That stock has split multiple times. But it's just with this last one, where the last year and a half, 2 years now, where people have really, where NVIDIA has turned into this massive, blob in the sky where everyone can see it because they're the biggest, richest company in the world. So, not to say that Palantir is going to be the new NVIDIA. That's not what I need to be saying here. I need to watch what I'm saying, obviously. I got a big mouth. But what I'm trying to say is that there's hints and signs that Palantir can be something very unique and special, more than what it is right now. I don't think it's crazy to say that Palantir will have a stock. We'll just do a. We're not going to put the plural on it at this moment, but we'll say a stock split into the future. I think these are very real possibilities, because the thing that we're seeing right now, it's a very unique situation where we see Wall Street talking about Palantir, that they're watching Palantir work with companies, and the companies are reporting that this is going really good with our partnership with Palantir. Now we're having CEOs openly come out and talk about their business with Palantir, with big companies, them as a big company, and say, they told us they could come in, save us money, and make us money. They did it. So if I had a company, I could hire this company, pay them X amount of money, and they're telling me in a short amount of time, we're going to come into your company, we're going to make it easier for you, clean it up, and we're also going to make you more money. Okay, okay, where do I sign the check? That's kind of what that's been the theme of what we've seen this year come out of Wall Street, from people like Tom Lee to CEOs talking this year. It's a very interesting situation that we get to see. It almost doesn't even seem legal, but it's happening in front of us. It's almost like a little bit of insider stuff, but it's, what can we do? It's breadcrumbs. It's breadcrumbs. We pick up the breadcrumbs as investors, and we chew on them and we eat them. Friends, I really do want to wish all of you the best of luck. I'm really excited about what this market is offering people. These are key moments right now that we're watching unfold in front of us. So I'm going to have another cup of coffee, get ready for this market to open, and I'm very excited. Thanks, friends, for being here. Really do appreciate it. Bye, everyone.